I thought the worst thing was when the person you love leaves. Turns out, what's even worse is when they stay and bring you proof that you've loved them all along. That letter was my secret, my confession in the silence of the night. And now it lies between us like a bomb with a ticking timer. Raven and Scarlet step inside, both soaked to the bone. Water drips from their clothes onto the floor, forming small puddles. Scarlet walks straight to her desk without looking at Raven. Her movements are sharp, nervous. She yanks open a desk drawer so hard it nearly comes off its rails. The drawer is empty. Where the letters should be, there's only dust and forgotten pencils. Scarlet turns to Raven, her voice shaking with a mix of anger and fear. You went through my things? How dare you? Raven stands in the middle of the room, still clutching the envelope. She slowly places it on the desk between them, as if it were a fragile artifact. I was looking for a charger, and I found it. A year ago. I didn't want to, but I couldn't look away. Scarlet stares at the letter, her eyes filling with tears. She reaches for it, her fingers trembling, and in a sudden impulse tries to tear the envelope in half. Raven reacts instantly. She catches Scarlet's wrists, holding them gently but firmly. Their faces are close, their breaths mingle in the air. Don't, Raven whispers, her voice full of pleading. Read at least one page out loud. For me. Please. Scarlet freezes, staring into Raven's eyes. Silence fills the room, broken only by the distant sound of rain outside the window. Slowly, Raven releases her grip. Scarlet lowers her hands, takes the letter, and unfolds it. The paper rustles in the quiet, like the whisper of a ghost. Scarlet's trembling hands clutching the yellowed pages, tears dripping onto the paper, slightly smearing the ink, Raven's face, filled with pain and quiet anticipation. The room feels even smaller now, the walls pressing in. The desk lamp flickers, adding to the tension. Scarlet begins to read, her voice breaking on nearly every word. Dear Avery. No, wait, dear Raven. I don't know why I'm writing this. You don't even look my way. You walk around campus with your headphones on, pretending I don't exist. She pauses, swallowing the lump in her throat. Raven sits across from her, unable to look away, tears gathering in her own eyes. Scarlet continues. And every night before I fall asleep, I imagine you taking those headphones off and saying my name. I hate myself for it. Because you'll never be mine. But if you were, I would give everything just to hold your hand in silence. Her voice cracks into a sob. She looks up. Raven is crying soundlessly, tears streaming down her cheeks, unblinking, absorbing every word. Scarlet sets the page down, her hands shaking. I wrote this every night, while you slept 2 meters away from me. I watched you in the dark and wished you'd turn around and finally see me for real. Raven nods, her lips trembling. Raven, I felt your gaze. Every night. I just pretended I was asleep. Scarlet keeps reading, her voice growing stronger but still heavy with emotion. Raven, your eyes are like an ocean in a storm. I drown in them every time you accidentally look at me. Do you remember that day in the library when you dropped a book and I picked it up? Our fingers touched for 1 second, and the entire world stopped. I wanted to tell you everything, but instead I muttered sorry and ran away. I'm a coward, Raven. But in these letters, I'm brave. Here, I can admit that I've loved you since the very first day we became roommates. Tears fall more frequently now, blurring the words. Raven reaches across the table and gently wipes a tear from Scarlet's cheek. Raven whispering, keep going. Scarlet reads on. Sometimes I imagine us walking across campus hand in hand. You tell me about your dreams of London, about the scholarship, and I listen, thinking how I would go with you if you ever asked. But you won't ask. You're too independent. Too strong. And I'm just a girl writing letters she'll never send. She stops, closing her eyes. The room is filled with their heavy breathing. Raven, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Scarlet opens her eyes. Scarlet, it was my way of surviving. Writing to you when I couldn't speak. They sit in silence for several minutes, the letter lying between them like a fragile bridge across two lost years. Raven stands up and walks to the window, staring at the rain still tapping against the glass. Her back is tense, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Raven, I knew. All this time, I knew. Her voice trembles. I saw the way you looked at me in the cafeteria. The way you blushed when I walked into the room. The way you avoided my eyes but were always nearby. Carlette stays by the table, gripping the letter. Scarlet, and what? You just decided to ignore it? Raven turns around, her eyes shining with tears. Raven, I thought, if I was cold, you'd stop. If I kept my distance, it would fade. Because I couldn't allow myself to fall in love with you. I had plans. A scholarship abroad. No attachments. I didn't want anyone to keep me here. Scarlet stands and steps closer. Scarlet, then why? Why didn't you give us a chance? Raven lets out a bitter laugh as tears spill freely. Raven, because you're everything I was afraid of. You're kind. You're smart. You're beautiful. You made me feel things I didn't want to feel, and then you left that letter, accidentally, in the drawer. I read it. And I realized it was already too late. I was already in love. Scarlet takes one step forward. Now their faces are only inches apart. Why didn't you ever say anything? 2 years, Raven. 2 years we lived in the same room, shared the same space, and you stayed silent? Raven lowers her gaze. Because I'm a coward. And you were too good for me. I thought I didn't deserve you. My plans were all I had. Without them, I'm nobody. Scarlet takes her hand, threading their fingers together. You're wrong. You were always everything to me. From the very first day. They stand there, hands intertwined, and the conversation continues to flow. Raven begins to talk about her fears. Do you remember our first night in the room? You smiled at me and said you were happy to have a roommate. And I just muttered something and put my headphones on. But inside, I was panicking. You were so alive. So real. Scarlet nods. And I thought you hated me. I tried to be friendly, but you pushed me away. And still, I couldn't stop looking at you. Raven smiles through her tears. I noticed. Every glance felt like an electric shock. They talk about the little things, about how Scarlet would leave coffee for Raven in the mornings, pretending it was accidental, about how Raven secretly listened to Scarlet's music when she was gone, about the nights they both lay awake, listening to each other breathe. The conversation sinks deeper into emotion. I was afraid that if I said it out loud, I'd lose everything, Raven admits. But by keeping it inside, I lost even more. Scarlet whispers. We both lost time. But now we're here. Scarlet steps forward. Raven instinctively steps back, her back hitting the wall. There's no way out now. Scarlet looks into her eyes, her voice quiet but steady. Do you still think I'm too good for you? Raven shakes her head, her breathing quickening. No. I think you're perfect for me. Scarlet lifts her hands and places her palms on Raven's cheeks, feeling the warmth of her skin beneath her fingers. Time freezes. She leans in slowly, and their lips meet in a kiss, soft, tender, filled with 2 years of suppressed emotion. The kiss lasts an eternity, shy at first, exploratory, then deepening, tasting of tears and rain. Raven's arms wrap around Scarlet's waist, pulling her closer. The world around them disappears, only them, their breath, the rhythm of their hearts. When they finally pull apart, their foreheads rest against each other. Raven whispers, barely audible. Scarlet. Scarlet smiles through tears. Now you can say my name. As much as you want. I've waited so long for that. They remain there, holding each other in the quiet of the room. They're lying on the same bed, wrapped around each other for the first time. Their bodies are intertwined. Scarlet's face is buried in Raven's shoulder, her breathing slow, almost sleepy. Raven gently strokes her hair, fingers sliding through the strands. In the darkness, Raven whispers. I'm leaving tomorrow. The scholarship in London is confirmed. For a year. Scarlet freezes, her eyes opening wide. She says nothing, but the tension in her body is unmistakable. Raven closes her eyes. A single tear slips down her temple, catching the faint light from the window.